Thank you very much. Yes, thank you for inviting me at Insomniac. It's my first time here. Still, I'm pretty used to cybersecurity conferences, but more in France. I'm based in Paris, actually. I have a very close friend of mine who texted me, who really wanted to join us. He told me he wasn't able to have a ticket. And I'm really disappointed that he's not here because we still have some seats available. So if you have some friends in the area, please text them because they can join us. I will kick off immediately. So my statement for this session will be the following. AI, all of us know that, is becoming a commonly viable tooling, and it's less and less expensive, as DeepSeek showed as an example of providing some AI interface for the general public, a commodity, not really expensive. And AI, for this reason and other, is intensively leveraged by attackers, preventing normal organization from detecting and blocking an ongoing attack before the negative business impacts the organization. We observe an average delay to remediate an attack around 6 days on average for the company. We are investigating on incidents, and the MTTE mean time to exfiltrate the data coming from the first compromise to the successful of the exfiltration of data is shrinking on less than 24 hours now. Consequently, and because the companies are not able to mitigate and contain the impacts fast enough, the cost of the cyber attacks are increasing on average today, an average of $4.5 million for a successful attack to an average company. My statement today is that we need cybersecurity being automated and real-time to face this situation, and the only way to achieve it is by using some AI-powered cybersecurity platforms. We really urge the security practitioners to adopt such platforms, such as what Palo Alto Networks provides, our network security platforms, cloud security platform, and AI-enhanced SOC platform. So the statement of this conference is this, and I will introduce myself. I am Raphaël Marichez, the Chief Security Officer Regional at Palo Alto Networks for France and Southern Europe. And I found it interesting to leverage the fact that at Palo Alto Networks, we celebrated a few days ago only our 20 years anniversary. It was at the beginning of March of 2005 that Palo Alto was created, and now we are 20 years after. And personally, I started cybersecurity around 2005, 2006 maybe. My first role as a volunteer was to participate and then to lead the Gen2 Linux security team. It was in 2006, and then after I moved to a consultancy company, and my first full-time paid job was doing penetration testing, the offensive side of cybersecurity. And 20 years ago, my internship deliverable was about, is it possible to automate cybersecurity? It was 20 years ago. So I thought it was interesting today to take a step back altogether and to see now, 20 years after, what changed in terms of automation, AI, offensive cybersecurity, and defensive cybersecurity, with this question in mind. Has AI restored balance to the force? Any reference to Star Wars is obvious. So let's start in January 2025 with Sam Altman. You all know this guy. He declared at the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025, he repeated it. He believes that during this year, 2025, collectively we will be able to know how to build AGI, artificial general intelligence, during this year. He didn't mention we will do this actually, he mentioned we will know to do this. And for that, he declared in January of this year that we may see during this year the first AI agents to join the workforce and change the output of companies. My question is, which workforce are we talking about? So how was hacking 20 years ago? Was it very different from today? When I talk to younger people today, in what we call now red teams. At this moment, we were talking about penetration testing, but it's the same. I discovered that most of the tools are quite similar. I mean, basically the techniques are similar, the scenarios are similar, but the tools have evolved. So at this moment in 2005, 2006, when I started, we were not using specialized Linux distribution like this one is Kali Linux, like Black Box, or even Parrot Security OS. Those didn't exist at this moment. We were using very versatile Linux distribution, very classical, Debian and Gentoo. I was developer of Gentoo Linux in the security team. And in this moment, very recently appeared Fedora and Ubuntu with a really big increase of adoption, very fast. Okay, that was very different. We were using very classical toolings, not specialized in cybersecurity. But in terms of offensive toolings, it is exactly the same as today. Even 20 years ago, we were using Nmap, the network scanner. We were already using Hydra, the password brute forcer. It's still the same today. Wireshark, of course, the network sniffer. Burp Suite, I will come back to Burp Suite a little bit after, because that's collection of software, actually. It's not a single software. It's a collection of software. It's very interesting. I will take this as an example. And Metasploit as well. We started Metasploit in 2006, 7 maybe. We are still using it today. But we also had some more fastidious tasks to perform with very classical toolings. It will not be really fancy, but it was a reality 20 years ago, very slow, very fastidious. Basic text editor, like VI, Vim for me, maybe Emacs for you. Bash, I was using ZSH, but Bash was okay. And a lot of Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V. A lot of Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V to copy-paste the blocks of IP addresses from one console to another console, from one console to a text file, from a text file to a tooling, the IP ranges, the output of Nmap, the command line to put in a shell. It was really fastidious. And if you didn't have a very, very good own organization and structure yourself on where you are putting the outputs of your different tasks, you were lost. It was very important to have your best text editor just alongside your console. So let's take an example of Burp Suite. How was it looking like at this moment? It was very simple with already interception capabilities, of course, but with very basic features, very limited features. We were already able to intercept and to alter on the fly the headers of an HTTP request, for example. But it was only a few years after that we had some more proactive, more aggressive capabilities like a sequencer, or even after. This was really interesting when it appeared in 2008, the scanner to provide you with the mapping of the website you are attacking. And the scanner itself was very popular, and it evolves a few years after with a better graphical user interface. And you can see that between the beginning and the actual Burp Suite, basically the software or the collection of software is the same, but the number of tabs is really different, has really increased with the decoder. For example, decoder is not itself a hacking capability, but it really provided some more convenient way to manipulate the data flows with different encoding like UTF-8 or base64, avoiding to have some fastidious copy-pasting outside of Burp Suite in another tooling, and again copy-pasting the results of the third-party tooling to put it back in Burp Suite. So this is called integration. Integration of capabilities, integration of features in a single pane of glass. It's not only about putting alongside different capabilities, it's really having a flow of data, structured data between the different tabs, making it easier to use, including some non-offensive capabilities like the decoder, just to make the tooling easier to use and more efficient to use. Another example, Hydra. Basically, Hydra hasn't changed at all between the beginning and now. It's very basic. 2 parameters in the command line, the username and the password, or the username list and the password list if you use arguments in capital letters. And today it's still the same. So why I am talking about Hydra today? It's not Hydra who really evolved, it's the dataset. We have a tooling, but what is here really interesting is how we perform better today in terms of password guessing, because we provide Hydra with a better dataset of probable password likely to run positively on a login interface. So the focus here is the improvement of the data, not Hydra itself. In 2018, so 4 years before the spreading of ChatGPT everywhere, we were already using generative AI. So it was 7 years ago now. It was actually very basic generative AI based on NLP, natural language processing algorithm. This piece of source code is public. You can find it on GitHub. It was published 7 years ago. And the algorithm is just a generative AI program to provide you with a list of probable passwords, candidate passwords, derived from an existing password dataset. And the existing password dataset, you take it from the true passwords hijacked in the wild on existing organizations, and you train your dataset, you fill your dataset with these true passwords. And this tooling is providing you with some passwords likely to behave the same in terms of grammar, in terms of derivation. So these passwords provided by the tooling are more likely to be successful for an attack compared to a very classical brute force dictionary like what we used to do years ago. So the attackers were using already generative AI algorithms, natural language processing, to achieve more efficient password cracking capabilities. Third example is about evading the IPS-IDS. The older way to evade the IDS-IPS in my times, 20 years ago, was to take a very common software, like, let's take as an example pwdump or fgdump to extract the hashes from an Active Directory. And obviously, every antivirus was able to detect a pwdump executable based on signature. And the only thing we had to do was to recompile exactly the same program, but to recompile it maybe with just one line change or one argument change in the compilator, in CC, just to be sure that the signature will be different and the executable will bypass the IDS, the IPS. Today, that doesn't work anymore, of course, because today, most of the IDS, IPS are using abnormal behavior capabilities, not only signature capabilities, but we can find on publicly available on internet some research papers back to 2018 talking about what we call generative adversarial networks. It is classically some neural networks to create some adversarial executable to evade the IDS, intrusion detection system, which is called IDS-GAN, intrusion detection system, generative adversarial networks. So usage of generative AI already, but in another way, to build from a known malware, which is detected by a given IDS. We don't know which kind of IDS it is. We want to evade this IDS. We have a known malware detected by the IDS. We introduce some alias, some noise, with a generative algorithm to produce thousands of adversarial malicious executables. We will train the algorithm, the generator, based on a classifier, based on machine learning. The classifier is intended to mimic the behavior of the IDS, and the output of the classifier will actually train the generator. Of course, we want also to give some boundaries to the generator, some limits, because we want to ensure that the hacking functions, like, for example, privilege escalation or lateralization, the hacking functions should be preserved despite the alia we introduce into the generator. So we preserve the hacking functions, we derivate adversarial executables from a given malware until the moment then we are pretty confident that the generated executable will actually evade the IDS and IPS. This is not new. It started seven years ago, and it's publicly available. So hackers were already using machine learning and generative adversarial attacks to be more efficient. Last example, fourth example, Metasploit. Another story. Metasploit really evolved a lot. At the beginning, it was really simple. It was very procedural, command line based, with only two things we had to do to select the right exploit and to select the right payload, of course, to provide them with some options like the IP address or the language of the operating system, for example, and to run the exploit and the payload, expecting that our target will not crash, actually. If you already tried to exploit a Windows domain controller vulnerability, sometimes if you are not using the right payload, it can crash. So you want it to be successful, not crashing your victim, and hopefully sometimes you are lucky enough it works. That was 20 years ago. Now Metasploit has become full-scale platform framework of different capabilities, different toolings. It contains some integration of third-party toolings with external plugins, some modules letting giving Metasploit the ability to provide some innovation with new ideas or new payloads, new ideas to develop and to bring innovation into Metasploit, all integrated across a single platform. The user graphic interface is as well very different than what it used to be 20 years ago, more efficient, and not only focused on exploits and payloads, also focused on, for example, manipulating a data set of the outcomes you found from your previous activities, like the hashes you found, the password, the username you found. So we don't need anymore to use Control-C, Control-V with a third-party text editor to manipulate the credential we found with Metasploit. This is called a platform. Modular platform because it has different capabilities integrated together, and this is the future of cybersecurity, offensive side, but also defensive side. The very last example I want to show you, it was only a few days ago. I'm sure you all have heard about this, Manus AI. It comes from China. This agentic, multi-agentic AI framework based on Claude, Anthropic, acting automatically with a collection of different embedded agents with integration with third-party tooling. 29 third-party toolings are integrating in Manus AI with capabilities to browse like a human being, to fill forms, to submit forms, web forms to a website, and already used in the real world for different use cases. So actually, let's stop here. Sam Altman declared 2 months ago that maybe agentic AI will join the workforce. He was right. We are in March, 2 months after, and the agentic AI did join the workforce. My question is, which workforce exactly? The bad side or the good side? So, to sum up, integration of features into a single piece of glass, using generative AI in different forms, natural language processing, adversarial neural networks, machine learning to do classification, modular platforms, and also agent-based automation. Everything is used already by the attackers. And the consequence of that is every stage in the attack scenario, basically the attack scenario hasn't changed a lot, but every stage in the attack is performed faster than before. And because the attack is successful before the organization is able to contain it properly, the damages are higher. As I explained, $4.5 million of cost each successful attack on the average company. It is really higher than it used to be before. Because of that, because of this, because of the lower MTTE, mean time to exfiltrate. When I say mean time to exfiltrate, actually it can also be sabotage or cipherment of data. It's the objective targeted by the attacker, and it is a delay between the initial compromise and the successful realization of the hacker objective. This MTTE reduced, and this red zone is where we really have to focus on as the good side, as the cybersecurity defender. We studied when I say we, it's Unit 42. Maybe you don't know Unit 42. It's our internal incident response and crisis management and threat intel research division at Palo Alto Networks. Unit 42 studied 2 years ago in 2023 a ransomware actor which is called Blackbuster. At this one, Blackbuster was not really well known. Now it's well known because some internal data of Blackbuster recently was exfiltrated and publicly made available, but it was made 2 months ago. Blackbuster at this moment was not really well known. And Blackbuster is a classical ransomware threat actor, but we already detected in 2023 that they had one of the most, maybe the most efficient delay, MTTE, across the multiple threat actors we were observing at this moment. Already at this moment, they were able to perform a full-scale successful attack in less than 24 hours. With a very classical scenario. Just they are properly tooled, they are good automation, and they already started to use, yes, automation and part of AI, if we can say automation is part of AI. But we studied that, and based on what we knew from these threat actor techniques, we were trying to imagine if they fully leverage AI today, what are they capable of? They are capable of reducing significantly the delay of different phases. Let's take as an example the ransomware preparation, which take a couple of hours usually. It's easier today to develop and to compile the executable that you will actually spread across the organization as an executable, not detected by the IDS, because you will compile it specifically for your target. But using AI-generated code is easier to develop it with the good libraries, compiling it, and sending away. Of course, you can't just ask ChatGPT to provide you with some piece of code to perform a privilege escalation or cipherment of data or exfiltration of data, of course. But you know that this threat actor developed some jailbroken clones of ChatGPT, like, for example, WormGPT, which is used to perform such development tasks to develop some malwares. Exfiltration also is a very interesting phase you can really reduce the delay of, thanks to AI. Exfiltration is a very difficult task as an attacker because basically you want to exfiltrate gigabytes of data without being detected by the SOC. And this activity, exfiltration, it's very noisy on the victim's network. It's very noisy. So if we could actually exfiltrate a smaller amount of data, that should be less noisy and faster and easier. And actually, we don't need to exfiltrate 100% of the data of the victim to after ask for a ransom. We actually only need to exfiltrate the most sensitive data that will be really useful to ask a ransom. And when I say the most sensitive data, it can be maybe 2% of the data if we select correctly the data we want to exfiltrate. For example, I want to exfiltrate the financial related data. I want to exfiltrate the human resources files. I want to exfiltrate the IP of the company, of the victim company. And there, machine learning is useful because with machine learning, we will take some samples automatically with a scan on samples in the different document sharing folders, Google Drive, Teams, Dropbox. We will take some samples and we classify. It is very basic AI. You will just classify automatically the samples to define if it is a financial data, an IP data, an HR data, or whatever else. So we will be able to, in question of seconds, minutes, localize where is the financial data that is really useful to exfiltrate to after ask for a ransom. And we will only have to exfiltrate this specific data and not the whole data. Coming from 12 gigabytes, 100 gigabytes of data to exfiltrate, maybe you need only to exfiltrate 1 gigabyte. It's really faster. And also privilege escalation. As I said, when you are using Metasploit to do some lateralization or privilege escalation, The question is not using the tooling. The tooling is good. The question is selecting the right exploit and the right payload with the right options. If you don't have the knowledge, because sometimes you achieve to be in an environment you don't really know, so if you don't have the knowledge, you can ask ChatGPT for knowledge. What is the best exploit of Metasploit I should use in this specific situation? What is the best payload I should use in this specific situation? Again, don't use ChatGPT for this. Use RomGPT or ForGPT or something else. So it's better for people, particularly non-expert, to use a chat box, AI chat box, to ask the chat box what is the best way to do my intended tasks. And so it will be faster compared as trying several options, looping back to the documentation, and within the documentation, AI is able to read the documentation way faster than the average attacker. So 3 examples of stage we can really shrink. And long story short, at the end of the day, this kind of scenario is doable in less than a half business day. The mean time to exfiltrate can be shrink by a factor of 4 or 5 just by leveraging AI better than they are using today. You can find some elements about this in the Unit 42 Incident Response Report of 2024, because this study came from 2023. So question for you now, do you think your organization is ready to defend against AI-driven cyber attacks like this? We will vote by raising the hand. Raise the hand if you think your organization is not prepared to face this kind of attacks. Yes, you have some honest people in the room. That's really great. Answer B, you are somewhat prepared to face such attacks. Yeah, good. Yes, I think you have some automated toolings, you have a good SOC, but it's not sure that you can contain at this scale, at this speed. Some of you may actually think, well, I better to expect that this will not happen on my watch. So finger crossed. Yeah, maybe, some of you. And I see third of the room didn't raise the hand at all, so it will be letter D. I prefer not to answer, and that's okay. That's okay. Because we have to be humble, and we have to be humble because this is the true legacy of what is a network stack in our organization. I am focusing it here only on network. I could talk also about application, cloud. Just for network as an example, a common cybersecurity stack for an average legacy organization is packing around 10, 12 cybersecurity network solutions from 4 or 5 different vendors, which is very difficult to harmonize with diverse multiplied enforcement points when we have non-consistent security policy to rely on. And every time I face a new vulnerability or a new exposure, every time I want to add a new capability or a new product, it's by itself a new infrastructure project which takes some months and just add more complexity to complexity. And from the beginning of my career, I say that complexity is the enemy of security. We want to make this more simple. Simple. How to do that? Everyone knows that complexity is the enemy of security. I think we all agree on that now. So the question is how? Platformization is the answer that came the most from our pollings to IT leaders, IT executives. This came from a very recent report we published together with IBM in January or February 2025, so very recent report. Most of executives agree that we have to focus on platformization and integration to be more efficient, which is not so easy because very often we've been thinking about technology and not about organization and outcomes. If we think about technology, every time you face an issue, you try to add something new on the top of the existing stack. If we think about the expected outcome, our conviction at Palo Alto Networks is that cybersecurity needs to be real-time and automated to face the threat scenario at pace and at the machine scale, which can't be done only by the human being. For that, we need to have sensors everywhere consistent to monitor what's happening We need to have consistent data lakes with analytics, AI-based analytics capabilities to detect anomalies, and we need to have automation to mitigate and neutralize the threats without human intervention. It's a little bit like sci-fi, but trust me, perhaps not for 100% of the threats, but maybe for 99% of the threats, we really want to achieve full automation of threat remediation, at least for 99% of the threats, so that the human being can really focus on what is the most problematic. And now we defined the expected objective, then we can talk about technology. And technology is about providing platformization into your company. It is what we provide at Palo Alto Networks with 3 different security platforms. This platform should be AI-driven with a good data lake and good analytics, and they have to provide real-time remediation. Of course, now, most of cybersecurity vendors are also talking about platforms. Everyone is talking about platform. Even a single web page is now a platform. So what is a platform actually? I'm pretty happy that people are trying to copy us in terms of platformization, but a platform is not just a word. A platform should have some criteria to be called as such and to achieve the objective I mentioned just before. And first criteria of an efficient cybersecurity platform is native integration. It's not a collection of products consolidated in the house of a single vendor. This is just consolidation. It's about integration not of products, but of capabilities or features, exactly like Burp Suite or Metasploit. And these capabilities shall discuss all together with a common structured data flow, so that adding one capability to another second capabilities, 1 + 1, they'll create together by synergy more value than if we were just staging the 2 capabilities, just one next to each other without mutual benefits. Second is, yes, I have a platform, but I still need to be innovative. For that, I need a modular platform, exactly like Metasploit. I need a modular platform so that I can have different teams working on new capabilities every day and to always be at the forehead of cybersecurity. And third, I need to have the right data, correctly structured, because data is key to make decisions. So the quality of a good platform is that the different capabilities will be developed in the mindset of being integrated with the other capabilities, so they have to share common data structures and common data lakes. If the data is fragmented and spread, that can't work. I have to be able to easily reconcile the data coming from one sensor in the network and another sensor on the host or on the cloud, for example, or Active Directory, to be sure that I will be able to do some analytics in the proper way onto consistent data. And when I talk about data, I talk about cybersecurity data, of course, of cybersecurity interest. This is an example of platform for the network security platform. I won't go into the details. Each box with acronyms is a security capabilities. We've been developing those capabilities for 20 years now and integrated every new capability into the platform, into the modular platform, so that I can manage the platform with only one single policy. For example, talking about technical words, Global Protect, which is our VPN client, they will receive the same security policy that the traditional firewall or the firewall in the SaaS in the cloud. Same policy, different enforcement points, consistency. It's way easier, way faster to deploy a new security policy across your whole organization. If you are, for example, adopting AI for your employees, where are you putting your AI access security tooling? With a platform, it's only one click. If you had 12 different cybersecurity solutions, you would have to develop 12 different projects to deploy AI security everywhere. This is really fast with one single platform. A single sensor across multiple form factors. I mean, for example, you can have some network IDS, network intrusion detection system. I don't mind if it is on a hardware, virtualized, containerized firewall, or even in the cloud. It's the same operating system, actually. This is a platform. And in our very recent study, I already mentioned a couple of minutes ago with IBM, which is really surprising, in my opinion, is that when you ask security leaders in your organization, is cybersecurity considered as a cost center or as a business value enabler? If they have a platformization cybersecurity approach into their company, the security leaders will reply, 96% of them, security is a business value enabler. If they don't have a platform into their cybersecurity stack, there are only 8 of them to say cybersecurity is a business value enabler. And 92% of them will reply cybersecurity is a cost. So there is a direct correlation between platformization and the feeling from the executive that cybersecurity is a business value enabler. And these figures are really impressive. Platformization and AI, 2 things, to be able to reply in real time with automation. And when we talk about AI at Palo Alto Networks, of course, it's a combination of machine learning, deep learning, more classical AI, and also generative AI. But we only use generative AI for what it was designed to do. For example, for human-machine interface, generative AI is good, but for taking decision about a verdict on a possible malware, it is not good because it is probabilistic. So we combine all of this, but we still focus on more precision machine learning AI, and we call the combination of this precision AI to explain the fact that when it's come about a cybersecurity decision, when it's come about deciding if a given executable is a malware or not, I want to be 100% sure. I will not rely on a generative AI algorithm, which is a probabilistic algorithm. I will rely on precision AI. This is what we do. Generative AI for us is not a fancy word. It is useful, for example, to help operators using our toolings more efficiently. But it's not magical. We still rely on precision AI, which is a combination of all of this to achieve 100% confidence in the decision-making process. And precision AI is now embedded across our 3 platforms. I was talking earlier about the network security platform. We also have the cloud security platform and the SOC platform. Every one of them are 3 different platforms, integrated features, fueled with precision AI to actually provide some real-time decision-making process for cybersecurity. If I focus on the SOC platform, native integration, of course, we actually consolidate maybe 5 different SOC vendors into one single platform. And for what can be automated, we lower the MTTR and MTTD, mean time to detect and mean time to remediate, metrics which usually are counted in hours or even days or maybe more than 1 week. We reduce the MTTD, MTTR for automated threats to a question of seconds. The speed of the algorithm. It's not sci-fi. It's just basically a playbook, orchestrated playbook. And if we need to have some human interaction, it's still possible. It is the 1% left. But for the 99%, it will be fully automated and fully remediated in less than 1 minute. Second, innovation in a platform. The proof that we still continue to innovate is that in each of our 3 platforms, we still achieved to gain every year new recognitions from the different analysts on the industry with our different capabilities we develop. It can be XDR, SASE, Enterprise Browser, anything. We still have the recognition, which proves that we invest a lot and efficiently R&D efforts in developing innovation in our platform. We never stop about that. Third, it's about consolidation. It's not only about increasing the security posture, it's also about lowering the total cost of ownership of cybersecurity. This part of the presentation, I developed it a lot more for CIOs, or purchase officer, or financial officer, are really interested in cost consolidation nowadays with some difficult economic momentum. They are really interested in reducing the number of vendors and reducing the total cost of ownership of cybersecurity, which actually we provide. So we have a good combination today between the SOC managers, who are more efficient with the Cortex platform, the SOC platform, and a good cooperation with the chief financial officer. They want to reduce the numbers of RFPs, the numbers of vendors, and consolidate the toolings to have more predictable cost and TCO of cybersecurity. In this example, we nearly reduce by a factor of 2 the total cost of ownership of a SOC platform by combining 5 different SOC vendors into our Cortex XIM, which is our latest innovation on the front line of the SOC platform, including the HR in this account. And finally, think about it as a immunity system. These platforms, using our precision AI algorithms, are able to detect and prevent in real time millions of new attacks every day. When I say new attack, I mean something that has never been identified before by any actor in the world. It can be a new malware provided by AI code generation or an adversarial attack. It can be a new domain name specifically created to host a CNC component, CNC infrastructure component. It can be a new web page hosting a new phishing website, something that has never been seen before. We automatically identify 2.3 million of such new threat vectors every day. Website, domain names, executables, PDF files, emails. And when it's combined into our global worldwide knowledge across our different countries, we provide this threat intel information freely. We don't sell actually threat intel. We disseminate this new threat intel for every of our customers, for every of our 3 platforms, no matter what. This is doable because collectively, as an immunity system, it's not a central data lake. It's collectively, across our multiple customers, we collect collectively 7.6 petabytes of data, security data, cybersecurity data, every day. Not in the single area, but across the multiple customers. And this is how we are able to identify new patterns that has not been seen earlier. So the result of that is, if I include the human-driven response, which is still necessary sometimes, the global MTTR and MTTD shrink from days to half an hour, 2 hours max. Globally, depends on the organization, of course. Real-time and automation is really what we want to achieve to face the new AI-driven cyber attacks. So now, it's time to answer the question. Has AI restored balance to the force? And I would say attackers and defenders, both of them are innovating every day, and they are using AI every day. AI is a versatile and multi-purpose technology, and cybersecurity data is the fuel for AI to perform correctly. Now the answer to this question is yours. We are a cybersecurity vendor. We provide cybersecurity platforms to the market. Are you ready to adopt our AI-powered cybersecurity platforms, which is a total shift of paradigm for cybersecurity? It is totally your call. That being said, I will end it, and I just want all of us to celebrate with you the 20-year anniversary of Palo Alto Networks, and let's give a big applause to the 20 years of cybersecurity innovation and automation. Thank you. I'm open to some Q&A, of course, and I will be at the Palo Alto Networks booth until 3 p.m. today if you have some private discussion after, but feel free to go to see my colleagues. But here I am open for some Q&A if you have some. Don't be shy. Some people say, for example, do you see new attacks generated by AI? Well, not really. Why don't hackers group using AI more? Because they don't need to. They are profitable, and when your companies will be ready to defend to common attacks, then hackers will actually use AI to be more efficient. But today, they are already profitable, sadly. Other questions? I am doing the questions myself, so. Yeah, there is a mic here, or you can speak loud, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, the upper part of the diagram is what we actually measured, by investigating on blockbuster techniques in 2023. The bottom part of the diagram is what we think they reasonably are able to do if they want to do, if they want to use AI properly. It's not sci-fi. My conviction is that if they want, they can. They don't need it so far. But if they want to be more competitive, they don't need it actually. But if they want to be more competitive, we already saw that they are doing some automation, automated scanning, and also generating ransomware with the help of GenAI, not fully automated, but the help of GenAI. Why? Because using GenAI to generate a ransomware executable, you will gather, for example, insights from the organization, the logo of the victim company, vocabulary specific to the victim, and so the ransomware will be, or the phishing web page will be more efficient, and more people will be fooled by a phishing web page that totally mimics your company behavior, your company code, vocabulary, rather than a different one. At Palo Alto Networks, we made the exercise because every month we receive some exercise of phishing attacks by our own internal SOC, our own internal red team. And 1 year ago, our red team, internal, started to generate the phishing web page exercise, phishing web page based on generative AI. And we saw, it's not revolutionary, we saw an increase of the click rate on the phishing web page with GenAI, upgraded of 25%. 25% is not a lot, but we do see some improvement when hackers or red teams are using AI. And as I was saying at the beginning of the conference, actually the red teams and the hackers started to use AI 7 years ago already. They can do it if they want. It's just they don't need it. Yes. Mean time for exfiltration is based on the actual incident response scenario our Unit 42 team is performing for the victim when the victim calls us. We are software editor, for sure, network security, cloud security, SOC platform, but we are also, with Unit 42, an incident response service company. So this is totally based on the cases where Unit 42 was engaged. And you can find some details in the Unit 42 Cloud Threat Report and also the Unit 42 Incident Response Report 2024. The 2025 Incident Response Report was issued like 1 week ago. Honestly, I hadn't time to read it yet, but you can go to look at the figures in the report based on what we see when we are phoned to investigate or to help on an incident. Any question? That's good. I think it's time up. So thank you very much for being here. I have your question, your attention, and I'm looking forward to discuss with you more about platformization and automation. And see you. Thank you.